We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for.
This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Happy Brain Podcast. This won't be news to you. Mental health is important. Your mental well-being sets a tone for your love life. And if you're not in a good mental state, dating won't be so enjoyable. However, mental health can seem so heavy sometimes. So this will be news to you. There is a way to improve your mental health and actually have fun doing it. That's where the Happy Brain Podcast can help. In less than 15 minutes, Heather Parady explores outside-the-box ways to not only improve your mental health, but have a freaking great time doing it. Some of my favorite episodes talk about hypnosis, why you should create an alter ego, and what the heck a laughter club is. You'll have to listen to find out. I've also found some of the episodes to be great icebreakers on dates. So who says the conversation around mental health has to feel like a massive chore? Search for the Happy Brain Podcast with Heather Parady today and start making your mental health journey and your brain a little happier.
I was so excited to get my shipment from Last Bottle Wines in the mail the other day, full of incredible red wines, all from Napa Valley. I love wine tasting, so having this to my door couldn't be happier. Also, couldn't be more excited that today's episode is brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you don't know already, they're a Napa-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one handpicked wine per day until it sells out, and they're always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part is that there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase. And I could not be more excited to bring this offer right now because they're having a marathon sale, which is coming up March 28th and 29th. Even better, we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. So if you are a wine lover like me, this is a great time to join. And did I mention that shipping is 100% free? So what are you waiting for? Mark your calendar for March 28th and 29th or get on it earlier if you want. You can sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world. Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Dateable podcast. We're still in the off season, but it doesn't mean that we stop giving you content. This is just what we consider extra stuff that we can bring you. It's an extra episode before we fully launch into season 14. How you doing, Julie?
Yeah, it's more of just you, hey, and I. I love hey, friends. I think that's a great way to greet everyone because I do feel like our listeners are our friends sometimes.
They are.
I actually meant to say this on a past episode, but I was at a crab feed before COVID hit again, and I got stopped by a listener that said that she thought she recognized me in the bathroom and like on the dance floor came over to me. So it's always super fun to have that happen in person.
And then that happened at a previous crap feed as well.
It does. But then when someone says they saw you in the bathroom, it made me be like, oh my God, what was I doing in there? Like the moments that you're like, not that I was doing anything bad in the bathroom, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't think anyone's like watching you, and then maybe someone is. Like, did I wash my hands long enough? Like stuff like that.
Like, were you taking a massive dump? And someone's like, I recognize that girl.
UA, we got dinged on a review for talking about number twos too much, which I thought was extremely funny.
That is
because
so funny.
I didn't think it happened that much, but we brought it back today. So
I would love for that listener to let us know which episodes we talked about number two so much. Because I remember one episode, but maybe there were others that I blacked out through. So I would like to know.
Yep. Reviews are definitely always fun to read. It's the internet. We try not to take them too personally sometimes. Of course, there's some phenomenal reviews. So plug to all the wonderful listeners out there that want to help us out by leaving a great review. There's definitely those on there, but every so often there is one that's just funny. Like, these people talk about number twos too much.
Yeah. It's whatever is like going on in your life at the time. It kind of is related to your review. But if you ever want to just get a good laugh out of reviews, read reviews for mattresses on Amazon. I can spend hours reading them because people always talk about how they test the mattress, and they like to talk about their threesomes or their orgies. And if it broke the mattress or not. People are quite edgy on Amazon. I had no idea.
It's like a flex to leave a mattress review. They're just like want to share their personal lives.
Yeah, they're like, 90-day money-back guarantee. Well, I had 3 orgies and the mattress did not last, so I'm returning it. This mattress sucks.
I really hope they just resell that to someone else after. Can't wait to get a new mattress. Yeah.
Oh, hey, look at this open box item. It's just a little bit, don't mind the stain.
Not worth the 50% off discount. Anyways, we have some good content in store that's not about number twos, not about mattresses, although you never know, it might go there. Never know. But we are going to talk about our 2022 dating predictions. We do this every year, and I would say that we're pretty spot on. We did not predict COVID because no one could, but we did predict that video was going to have a resurgence that year, and it did. We just didn't know the cause, but we knew the effect.
Yes. Well, we've been predicting video for a while, so there's that. So every year we just give the same predictions.
1 year. It's going to hit.
One day it will actually happen. But I think we are pretty good at this. It's like we have the magic 8 ball on what's going to happen in the year. And of course, we're not always right, but I think we're more right than wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty impressed by our streak so far.
And we had a really exciting week. We actually were on New York Public Radio.
All of it with Allison Stewart.
I always think it's fun when we do radio. This is our third time doing radio. One time we actually got to go into the studio back in the day. Remember that, in San Francisco. But we also did a Canadian public radio.
A million years ago.
I know, back in the day when you could actually go. But the beauty of all this virtual is that we can do New York Public Radio from our homes in San Francisco and LA.
That's true. We did have to wake up early, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was damn worth it. And it was more worth it because, okay, a couple things with this show. It's a call-in show. So there were a few callers that, came in with their questions or they just want to vent about their dating life. And then they also took DMs from Instagram, which I thought was very progressive of them. But the best part was, I don't know, maybe Julie, you should tell this part. The best part was the end of our segment.
Oh my God. This is the biggest fail I think I've ever had is, on this show, we're pretty unfiltered. We can say whatever we want. We can just throw that explicit content label up on Apple Podcasts and we're good to go. I forgot that on radio that you cannot be so free with your words. So the last part, Allison was asking us I think, what was it, like the biggest opportunities as daters in 2022?
Or anything you want to add.
Anything you want to add, right. It was so wide open. It was anything you want to add. And I started talking. And then I went to, this is the year that people just need to cut through the bullshit, basically, is what I was trying to say. And all of a sudden, UA and I were off the air. And It definitely registered to me as this was happening. It just cut to like, and thanks for joining, like the end. And the producer got on the phone with me and was like, yeah, you can't say that on the air. We'd love to have you guys back though, but not that. And UA listened to the replay though, and they just cut it. There's no beep. There's no bullshit. Hopefully we got some new listeners from there. I saw some people joining our Facebook group, Love in the Time of Corona, which is awesome. So if anyone was on that show and is now at the podcast, now you know the behind the scenes.
If with any live show, they expect shit like this. Literal shit like this.
Now you can't stop saying it.
Well, because, you just never know you can't control what comes out of your guest's mouth. So there is a 5-second delay so they can cut if they need to. And words like bullshit don't get on air. So what you do hear in the final product is Julie like in the middle of a thought. And then Allison wraps up the segment, and it's kind of disjointed and jarring at the same time, but also we think it's hilarious now in hindsight because Julie broke public radio.
You were so funny because you didn't know what happened. The producer we were on individual phone lines. So you texted me after, you're just like, why did we just get cut at the end? Like, what
I was
happened?
like, that was awkward.
Yeah, and I was like, that's my fault.
It's all good. It was the end of the segment anyway, and it makes for a good laugh. That segment was really fun because it's New York based. So the callers were all based in New York somewhere. And I don't know if you noticed this, Julie, a lot of their questions were about how they had started relationships or dating a few months ago. And then now, because of COVID and because of cold weather, I would assume that these relationships have dissipated a little bit because they haven't seen each other IRL. And I kept thinking, and I didn't make this comment because I didn't have the chance, that a lot of this is kind of regional because I think in California, we can still have these outdoor dates and go on hikes and go do outdoor dining. But in states like New York, you can only stay out for an IRL date for so long before your fingers freeze off. So it is interesting because you have to keep the relationship going, but you can't meet in person as much.
Yeah. And there was other comments about, delaying life milestones like moving in. And I think that definitely can apply many places, but I could see in New York where housing is already tight, that being, now it's your home office, now it's your work, and now you're sharing it with another human being, and having two people potentially remote working, that's like nuts in what 400 square feet. Like, I think that does change.
That's huge. That's huge for New York.
200 square feet, but that changes things. You know what I mean? I feel like even in my current place, I'm like, this would be hard with two people. And I'm like, wait, that's like so much more spacious, just given where we live. And other parts of the country are probably a zillion more times spacious than San Francisco and LA.
It's fascinating. It's really fascinating, especially with the weather, the city constraints. It does make your dating a little different. It's nuanced from city to city. So we love to hear more of that because I didn't even think about weather impeding on your relationship till we did that call with her.
Yeah. We do really need that resident dating expert that we or resident dater that we talked about last week, because last time this year during our bonus segment, remember I did the Hinge, like I just changed my location and went to different places in Hinge and in virtual travel, I'd say.
Yep. And Chicago was good.
Yeah, it was super interesting. So I think we need to get that again. So get those applications in. Who wants to be the resident dater?
It's unpaid. I just want to make that clear, okay? We pay you in recognition.
Yeah. It's your 15 minutes of fame.
Should we get to our predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. No need to hold back because we got some good ones. We're going to both start with our top 3, and then we'll add some extra ones in at the end because we always like to add the good stuff at the end.
Yep.
I think the biggest one that I could see is this hesidating concept. I love this term so much. Plenty of Fish coined it. I think it's a great term because it really means that you're hesitating, right? But hesitating, play on words. For anyone that didn't get that, I'm sure most of our listeners did.
Thanks, Julie, for explaining that. I kept thinking you're saying it wrong.
But I think hesitating is the state of the world that we're in, especially with Omicron. I think people want to date, especially given the last couple years. We've done a lot of self-reflection, want to get back out there, but this variant is so much more contagious than other variants. So I know if I was dating right this minute, I would probably be very concerned meeting people in real life, even though I want to. So definitely feel like we're going to go back to 2020 in the sense of doing more virtual dates, at least in January and maybe beginning of February until this wave passes a bit. But, you know, there's a reason why dating apps blew up in those early months. It's still an alternative to doing something rather than nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a good term because it describes, even just by saying the word, like you feel the feelings of it. Hesitating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People are definitely taking a pause. And if you're feeling this way, we know you're not alone because we've heard many people are in the same boat. I think a major prediction I have is sober dating. I think sober dating is going to make its splash, its virgin splash this year. I think because 2020 and 2021 people were over drinking at home, you know, especially during the lockdowns. And I think people have seen the effects of over drinking possibly. And I know a lot of people who are doing the whole like dry first 6 months of 2022. And also in the last year, there have been 6 or 7 major companies that have come out with non-alcoholic drinks. You know, it's like mocktails or non-alcoholic beer. It's interesting because they're trying to mimic the flavor of delicious cocktails without the alcohol. Yep. And I can see this going into restaurants and bars more. And ultimately, and we've talked about this, is that sober dating helps you gauge chemistry so much better than when you're under liquid courage and under a foggy brain and you go home with someone or you think you had a really great time, then you wake up the next day, sober up and think, did we have a good time? I don't remember. Did we have a connection? What was his name again? I don't know. So I think there is a huge need for people to want to be more clear-headed this year, especially when it comes to dating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing dry January. I haven't heard dry first 6 months, but I feel like I felt that. I think it's just like the last 6 months, 8 months, it's just been a lot of drinking, back at it again.
Yep.
And I just needed a refresh. And remember, Yue, when we used to try to sneak, or not even try, we did. Remember when we snuck kombucha into bars? Because there were so many times that we just wanted to go out, but not get drunk. And I think I'm really excited. I hope there is a world where there's more mocktails and kombucha just ready to buy, because for me personally, it's less about the drinking and more of the social element that I'm kind of missing or feel like I'll miss. Even in this dry January, I mean, right now it's a little weird because I don't really want to go to bars anyway. So it's actually like the perfect time to be doing dry January with COVID. Mm-hmm. But that is definitely like, if this became 6 months, I wouldn't want to not ever go out again. So having options would be really great. And especially for dates. I mean, I think it's great because it will push what a first date can be a little further. Mm-hmm. But there is something about being at a bar that has like a sexy environment to it that kind of sets the mood, right?
I agree. And then you feel out of place if you don't get a drink or something. And if you're only drinking water, you want something kind of fizzy. So it's nice that these companies have come out with these products, but also you can just get like soda water with a lime.
That's what I've been doing.
That. Yeah. And that tastes kind of like a vodka soda. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Just trick your brain.
I feel like since season 1, you've been team sober first kiss. So I'm really hoping that it will finally make its comeback. I feel like this one has been kind of like video dating that every year we're like, it's going to happen.
This is the year. Sobriety. Sobriety's going to win. But if you have encountered some sober first kisses, please tag us with hashtag sober first kiss and let us know about your experience, because I'm looking for people to, help me with my cause here.
Get the movement started. Love it. I think my other big prediction, and this is kind of a no-brainer, but I feel like vaccination status is really the new political affiliation of 2020. Mm-hmm. It's still a thing. We still have a divided country, but I feel like 2020 was so rampant of what's political side are you on? And I feel like it's now the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. And there's been a lot of, there's a new term that popped up. There's always a term, comvaxability, the phenomenon of having capacity incompatible views pertaining to the vaccine. But I think this is so important. Like I think about, my current partner, and it's like, I'm really glad we have similar views on COVID and the vaccine and just safety in general, because I think it'd be really hard if you didn't. And especially dating someone new. There was a match study recently that Helen Fisher does that's 73% of singles reported that they are vaccinated compared to 64% of the general US population.
So even more.
Makes sense because you want to meet random people, right? And maybe kiss. And that's probably the fastest way to catch COVID, right?
Right. Right.
And then there was also in that same study, 2 in 3 singles say they want their dating partners to be vaxxed. Yeah, so vaxxed, waxed, and ready to go. I think that's the sentiment this year. And I was playing on my friend's dating app. I think I mentioned this last week. And vaccine status is a thing in Hinge now. And I'm sure it is on many dating apps. And it's front and center. And I'm sure people are putting in their bios. They were back in the day when the vaccine came out. Now it's the booster.
Yeah. And I think it's good if you just take a screenshot of your vaccine card and put it in your dating profile. I think it's just, there's just like, then people can swipe and see who they're dealing with and make their decisions that way. Because I personally think what's interesting about COVID is that it hits closer to home than like STIs. I think, with the hookup culture, maybe some people weren't as responsible because they were passing the disease to people that they may not know, strangers in the future. But with COVID, you could possibly pass that to your family members, people in your immediate circle. So I think daters are taking this a lot more seriously, and getting that vaccine status is actually more serious than getting like STI status, right? This is a very interesting implication, and we do see that people are taking it seriously.
Yeah, I think it's a big piece of the hesidating too, right? Is that people are prioritizing safety over personal pleasure.
Yep.
And that's the world we live in right now, especially with these new variants that keep getting introduced.
Yes. My second prediction would be solo trips are going to be the new way of meeting people because so many people are sick of delaying their vacation plans, waiting for friends to get on board with going somewhere. So people are taking solo trips, booking an Airbnb in the mountains and just doing their own thing. But because so many singles are doing this, your chances of running into other singles on your solo trip are pretty high. So my prediction is this could be like the new way of dating IRL, is meeting people on your solo trips.
Yeah, I think this is great because I think a lot of people have been cooped up for far too long, want to get out there and travel, aren't kind of are saying, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to wait for the perfect scenario. And yeah, what better way to meet people? I think people are itching to meet in IRL, which is kind of a larger prediction too. I mean, hopefully there'll be the day that this comes, but I feel like people are going to be out and about stronger. It's going to be like back to the Sex of the City days where you go to a bar, people actually talk to you. Once COVID, I think, has fully passed, because even when we put up a poll in our Facebook group about topics that people wanted us to talk about this season for season 14, at the top of the list was meet cutes in IRL, which honestly was a little surprising to me. I'm not saying that I get why, but I didn't think there was as much pent up need for this, because I think people are just itching for this.
Yeah, craving that in-person connection.
Before we get into our next trend, let's take a quick break for a few messages from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Prose. Most of you have probably heard me talk about Prose, the world's most personalized hair care, and I want to update you all on the incredible results I've been seeing since using my customized products, which include a personalized shampoo, conditioner, and a pre-shampoo mask. My hair is now noticeably smoother, and I used to have really frizzy hair, and now it's much easier to tame. I personally really love the pre-shampoo mask because, well, it smells incredible, and it just makes my hair feel even softer. To get started with the personalization process, you take an in-depth hair quiz with questions around where you live, your diet, and your lifestyle. And they even take into account stress. By analyzing over 85 personal factors, Prose determines a unique blend of ingredients to treat your exact concerns. Prose is a healthy hair regimen with your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off your first order today. Go to prose.com/dateable. That's prose.com/dateable for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off. This episode is brought to you by the book The Spanish Daughter by Lorena Hughes. As a child in Spain, the protagonist Puri always knew her passion for chocolate was inherited from her father, but it's not until his death that she learns that she inherited a cacao estate in Vinces, Ecuador, a town nicknamed Paris Chiquito, or Little Paris. Eager to claim her birthright, she and her husband set out across the Atlantic Ocean, but it soon becomes clear that someone's not very happy with this. So when a mercenary sent to murder her accidentally kills her husband instead, she dons her husband's clothes and assumes his identity, hoping to stay safe while searching for some answers. Puri confronts new challenges at the hacienda, newfound siblings, hidden affairs, and her father's dark secrets. Then there's this mysterious stranger that she's attracted to while she's trying to find the enemy who's still at large, threatening the future she is determined to claim. Oh yes, you can find out more about this book, The Spanish Daughter by Lorena Hughes, at kensingtonbooks.com or wherever books are sold. This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp. This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, you know, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing. I think for me, the next major prediction I have is that DTRs are going to happen a lot sooner within the first month of dating. And I think it's because, this year has really changed us all. The last 2 years, I don't want to say year. And I think people that, have been spending a lot of time doing the work and are ready to meet that person and know what they're looking for. Once they find it, they're going to move on it. I think we're kind of cutting through the date talk. The whole date review, I think, is going out the window. It seems like people are just getting straight to the point now. They're asking like the questions that used to be taboo. And, first dates are just putting it out there. It's not necessarily this dance anymore. It's okay, we may only have a few times to meet each other, especially who knows what the next month is going to look like. I think if people see a connection, they're going to act on it. Maybe relationship chicken will finally be out the window.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like a combination of turbo relationship and courtship all rolled up in one, and people not being so scared to have the DTR conversation because they're like, life's too short. Why wait?
Or it's once this variant passes and we do get back out there in the world, it's like, I meet someone, I want them to be my partner, then I don't have to worry about dating the next time the variant comes.
Yeah, I'm safe. It's like musical chairs. I found a chair. Just let me sit in it. You want to be my chair?
I just have to worry about contracting it for one person, not a zillion people.
So my third prediction is very related to yours, Julie. I do see that the beginning of a relationship is expedited, but I do think one milestone will be delayed, which is moving in together. I do think that during the lockdowns and the last 2 years, personal space has been so important, and people have made their own spaces into even better spaces that it's hard for them to give that up to share a space with someone else. And I've actually seen this with a lot of my coupled off friends who've now moved into bigger spaces so they can have separate rooms, separate quarters of the house if you have, the opportunity to do so. But I think that couples won't be rushing into moving in together, probably keeping their separate spaces like Carrie and Big, but, still sleeping at each other's places, but keeping your own thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is something very real that I'm navigating currently too. It's especially working from home all the time, right? It's now not just your living space. And I think if one person isn't working from home, it can work. But if two people are working from home, it can be real challenging.
It's so challenging. And people may have spent over a year decorating their own apartment and getting that mattress that they really love after reading through thousands of reviews on Amazon.
Yeah.
So,
we knew we'd bring it back to mattresses, guys.
All the orgies they've had in their space. It's hard to give that up, all the memories. But I think, I've talked about this. Ideally, I want a space where I have my own side of the house. He has his own side of the house. And then our communal spaces like the kitchen and the living room.
I'll say devil's advocate though on this. So my partner and I do co-work together. Sometimes we still live in separate spaces, but we do co-work. And, we kind of just do our own things during the day, but it's fun. It's like you have a little office buddy around.
Yeah? Is it fun?
I think it's fun. Between meetings. It's
between
nice.
Meetings. Well, okay. So my friend who made a really good point. So her husband started working from home since the pandemic. She was stay at home. And she said what she had to wrap her head around was the fact that just because he was physically there doesn't mean that he was always available.
Yeah.
And so she would kind of go into his room and be like, hey, you hungry? You want this? Do you want to talk about this? Let's talk about vacation. He's like, I'm working. Just because I'm physically here doesn't mean that you can just knock on my door and I'm not always available.
I could see that. I think there's so many factors with this one, right? It's like, what space do you live in?
Yeah.
I think if one person isn't working and the other one is, like you were just saying, I could see that being real hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, it's just the demands of the specific jobs and what's happening with the individual couple. But I agree with you. I can see that people definitely have their coveted space a bit more, and it could be harder to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, those are the top ones. Maybe we could throw in a few others that made the list, but maybe not the top of the list.
Yeah, shall we? We want to do that?
I think the one that I had is that, voice is going to become the new video. I think Hinge right now has been experimenting with voice prompts, and there's very mixed feelings about them. I feel like a lot of people think it's freaking awkward. But let's rewind to when video first came out. Everyone thought that was freaking awkward, and now we are on board with it. I do think there's a lot of video fatigue that's happened over the last 2 years. In Facebook rooms now, they have the ability to join just audio only. Clubhouse, I don't know where Clubhouse is anymore. It was all the rage. I feel like I never hear anyone talking about it anymore.
No.
But these voice activated ones became all the rage for a bit. I don't know. I think it still hasn't, the code has not been cracked yet, but I think in the upcoming years that will become a lot more prominent on dating apps, because people always say that you just never know what someone's going to sound like. It is important to hear their voice in a way.
I just thought of a prediction related to that, and it wasn't on my original list, but I'm going to throw this out there. I think voice catfishing is going to happen. It's going to be a thing now. There are so many apps out there that can change your voice. On Facebook Portal, you can do that. When you call your family, you can change your voice into a different tone. You can sound like a chipmunk if you want to. Some people are very self-conscious of their voice, so maybe to attract more people would enhance their voices a little bit. And then you meet them in person and you think, wow, you sound totally different in person.
Well, that's why I think that it's going to be the new video, because I feel like people now are finally comfortable with video. But it took a long time to get there. Mm-hmm. And I do think people are extremely uncomfortable about hearing their own voice. We even get that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Some of our guests are like, I couldn't listen because I didn't want to hear my voice,
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen, though, in the next year, or maybe 2 years. It might take 2 years.
That's okay. I'm excited to see what that's all about. I know a few dating apps have tried to start with just audio, and I don't know what happened to them, but maybe they'll come back. Let's see what happens. Some other ones, I guess, on my original list would be people prioritizing self-care before dating. Self-care is so important. And I think those last minute dates are just not going to happen anymore. People are going to say no. If you're asking me out today for tonight, I'm not going to do it because I rather do the thing that I really want to do, which is taking care of myself.
I mean, I've thought that for years, that it shouldn't be around someone else's schedule, but it's like, how could dating fit into my life? Obviously, you want to work with the other person too, but I would never just drop something to go on a date ever.
But many people would.
I know. I remember there was like someone posted something on Facebook about like, how do you, not take these last minute dates so you don't spend your whole day planning it around this date. And I'm like, wait, you need to be planning the date around your day, not the day around your date.
Yeah. I think because people have had time to focus on themselves and to think about self-care, that this becomes a priority above squeezing in dates whenever you can.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Another thing I hope is that dating apps will finally get rid of the race filters and the height ones while we're at it.
Are still some of them that have the race
They're
filters?
still there. They're still there. Hinge has it.
Hinge has it still.
And you can say how important it is to you. I think it's going to become obsolete. Remember when Match used to have body types? That's gone.
Yes.
I think height eventually will be gone too. I don't think there's any reason to have that on there either. Just make an assumption. It's like body type. Make an assumption based on the photo. You don't need to spell it out and like filter people out because of it.
Oh, that would be I'm just floored that some apps still have it.
Yep.
Yeah, the height one is, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do away with that one. Yeah, I don't know. People seem to still think that is so important.
I know. It's fascinating.
So arbitrary.
But no one in real, like if you meet someone in real life, you're not like, how tall are you? You know?
Right.
You just assess how they feel with you.
Right.
Does
So
anyone really
basic
know the
chemistry.
difference between 5'8" and 5'10" or even 6 feet? No. Like no one's out there with their measuring stick. So ridiculous. Just see if it feels like a good fit to you.
Right. All right. Another one I have would be, I think dating apps will try to couple mental health with with swiping now. So maybe it's like a mental health check-in before you even start getting matches. Maybe it's checking some filters on what you're currently feeling that you can match with other people on the same wavelength, because how you truly feel once you open that app is pretty damn important.
Yeah, I think mental health it's been so front and center the last couple years. And I think therapy is probably the hottest thing someone can put in a profile. I believe Logan even put forward a study at Hinge that when someone saw that someone did therapy, their attraction to them went up. So that would never have happened even like 5 years ago, I feel like. So I think it's going to become more front and center for sure. I think the last one I'll comment on is, I said this before, but I think IRL meeting is going to have a huge comeback. But let's talk about when you first meet, even in our IRL from a dating app. You know how it's always that you went in for the hug? Mm-hmm. There's no way that's going to be the greeting anymore.
No.
Even though I still find people go in for the hug.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to become obsolete eventually. Because I think especially with strangers that you've never met before, it's just so aggressive.
Yeah. Do you see, like, when you're watching TV and they hug on TV, do you kind of cringe? I do. I'm like, oh my God, they just hugged.
I don't. It's so awkward because I feel like even with COVID, when you're out and about, people will hug you. Like people you have, like friends that you haven't seen in a while, or like friendly acquaintances. I was out for dinner with a friend and like someone she knew came by and their boyfriend like shook my hand. And I'm like, can you not?
Yeah.
But like you can't say anything to them. And it's always one of those things, especially when it's a hug. In the moment, I'm like, okay, this is normal. And then after, I'm like, oh, I don't wish that didn't happen. So I feel like a lot of people are probably thinking that, and they're probably only doing it because what else do you do? That fist bump never took off, or the arm bump. So I feel like the elbow bump. Yeah, someone needs to come up with a replacement hug. Just say, maybe it's like blowing kisses as you go in the door.
Oh my God, that would be so weird to do with a stranger. So weird. What if we all carried around like an arm extension, you know, and then you just like a ruler?
Because that's less weird than blowing kisses to have an arm extension.
Your artificial hand can shake their artificial hand.
I just love that you're like, that's so weird to blow kisses, but you know what's better? An arm extension.
I just get weirder. Let's get weirder with that.
I think someone should bring an arm extension out to a date. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, you can use it to open bathroom doors and to shake your date's hand.
You can like tap the waitress on the shoulder with it. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, you can go as far as you want. You can like catch the bus. You can, like...
Good thing we're both not dating right now.
Please, what do you mean?
Please let us know if you use an arm extension and how that works out for you. For the record, we're not recommending that.
It'd be so great. And then you're like going for the hug, like by hooking their shoulder with it.
Although it could be funny, you know, people need a shared experience that breaks the ice a little. There you go. 2 in 1.
I love that. Yeah. Like for your next first date, Postmate them an arm extension. So you both show up. And
where do you even get an arm extension?
I don't know. From dateable.com, dateablepodcast.com/arm extension. We're selling them now. $19.99.
This is our new business line, guys.
You can do like different arms, like different jewelry on the.
Okay, we're transitioning topics. Speaking of actual offers from the Dateable podcast, we are so excited because our 22-day dating app reset challenge is now live. So you probably got the email. If you didn't, just go to findingyourperson.com/apps and you can register. This is only going to be available until February 14th. We're getting cut off right midnight, right on the dot, February 14th. So get on it.
Get on it, people. After 22 days of this challenge, you're going to be using dating apps in a way that you've never used them before. So why not try something new for the new year and set the tone for the rest of the year so that you can slay the dating apps?
I mean, I personally love dating apps, and I know I'm in the minority. I do. I met my partner on a dating app. I met a past boyfriend on a dating app. I've met actually a lot of great people on dating apps, even if they didn't become actual significant others. I feel like it actually just kind of kills me inside when I hear people talk about their disdain for them, because while I don't think it needs to be the only way you meet someone, it certainly is not, but why cut out this great avenue of all these people? And I said this to both of my significant others that I met off dating apps, then I would never have met them. Like there's no connection. And I mean, I would be so sad if I didn't meet my current partner, you know?
Right?
Like that's such... Like, that's just from a swipe. Like, it's so crazy when you think about it. But if you can get to a place that you really, like, see them for what they are, an introduction to people that you would not meet, it can be a beautiful thing. And especially with COVID right now, I know people are like, well, I don't know. But at the same time, what are the other options? Dating apps have been the prominent way to meet people. And we're going to, you know, obviously the goal is to eventually get out there and meet people in real life from the dating apps. But even doing the 22 days of prep up until then, or within that, will really set you up once this variant is much more under control. And video dates.
Dating apps aren't out to get you.
No.
They were not designed that way. They're actually meant to facilitate connection and to help you and to open up your options. It's just the way we've been using them that fucks us over. But that's why we came up with this challenge, because it'll help you reframe how you use the apps, what your behavior is like on the apps, and then like expectations. You know?
Yeah. You and I spent a while coming up with all these like tactics and tips and tricks and hacks. Even though we don't like hacks, sometimes with dating apps, you got to do a few hacks.
Yeah, there's some hacks.
I think that's the area that I'm not above it. And we came up with a bunch of stuff that made dating apps a pleasant experience. Look, no one's going to say that it's super fun in any way, but the more you can make it feel not dreading the second job, all of that, it's just the way you show up is going to be so different.
I told my parents about the dating apps today. I mean, they know about it, but I, went in depth about what they do, and they were both so envious.
Yeah.
They both said, if I had that, during my time, I could have met so many great people. And although they're madly in love at the time, it would have been fun to see what the other options are like out there. And they think it is such a privilege that we have this opportunity to use dating apps. So let's exercise that privilege.
We forget the privilege that we have. We do forget that. And, we can say abundance of choice is causing problems, but at the end of the day, we're all looking for this person to spend our life with. Don't we want options? That's not a bad thing.
Yes. Okay, so don't forget, get on that challenge because it closes on February 14th. So you can sign up anytime between now until Valentine's Day.
Yep. So findingyourperson.com/apps. Cool.
Okay. Well, those are our dating predictions. Again, we're not psychic. Okay, but there's a disclaimer here. But if these do come true, give us credit.
Especially that voice activated one. I know it's happening.
And the arm extender.
Arm extender, somehow that made it on the list. Okay. You heard it here first. Get your arm extender.
Let's wrap this up before I come up with the other extenders that you can put on your body. All right,
we'll leave you all to your imagination on that one.
So what is penetration exactly? Okay.
Hey, 6 feet apart, right? Gotta stay 6 feet apart. Maybe we should skip the arm extender and go to the other.
Socially distanced sex just has never felt so good.
Okay. I love when we get delirious.
Okay, wrapping this up.
Stay dateable.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @Dateable Podcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.